What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. My name is Nick, and I am joined by Keelan, as always. How you doing, man?
Really well, really well. Blessed, Steven. How about yourself?
Oh, blessed as always. It's hump day. We're getting through the week one day at a time, and I can't complain. So, you know. but
Always a good thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate it. We are continuing our review and sort of conversation about WandaVision. We're putting a pause on Game of Thrones for this week because we realized WandaVision is just going way too fast. And if we had followed the schedule that we were going to follow, it would have been a 2-week-old news, and you guys don't want to listen to that. So we want to make sure that we stay current with you guys, and especially current with an ongoing show. So we wanted to make sure we squeezed in our review for episode 7 before episode 8 comes out on Friday. So we are also going to be coming back to you guys this weekend at some point so that we can talk about episode 8. And then hopefully we'll have some sort of finale conversation shortly after the finale airs. Not too soon after, because we don't want spoilers, but maybe a couple days later. And then we'll get back to all the Game of Thrones goodness once this series is over, because we only have 2 more episodes, Keelan. Only 2 more episodes. Yeah. 9 episodes. Yeah. What a weird number.
It's more than I expected, so I have no problems with it.
Yeah, I mean, it is 1 more than I expected. I really thought it was going to be 8. So,
but I hope they give it to us in like as an hour. Instead of like how the TV specials, the TV finales used to be. They used to be like an hour and a half, and it was like, where did the last 2 hours of my life go?
Yeah. Maybe really if they hold true to the sort of like, the sort of like Lost season finale, sort of Game of Thrones season finale sort of thing, where it's like you want to make sure the last episode is really long. That would be kind of cool. I mean, like, even if episode 9 was like 45 minutes instead of 30, I'd be all right with that. These 30 minutes episodes are just kind of a little bit too short for my liking. At least for a serialized show like this, where you have to wait a week. At 27 minutes or 23 minutes, sometimes it's just like, all right, well, I mean, I got kind of the story kind of pushed forward a little bit, but
I just got into it.
Yeah, exactly. I just got into it. Oh, now I got to wait another week. So that I think that does hurt the series overall, for just maybe, at least in my book, because of the fact that the episodes are so short and you're putting them a week apart. I think that this probably on the second rewatch, once everything is out, will be a lot more enjoyable for me, because then I can just kind of see it as one long movie, which will be cool. But at least for now, waiting a week is kind of difficult. So,
I mean, if I'm being honest, that's always been my issue with program television. When we got to once the binge effect started, I'll call it that. I'm not a binger still, really, but it works better when we can just go back to the catalog later. So I totally agree. To add to that, specifically this episode, like episode 7 was one of those episodes where it was like, wait, it's over.
Yeah, I kind of got taken by surprise. I was waiting for a little bit more, and then all of a sudden the credits flashed, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'll see you next week.
Right, exactly. I guess I'll see you next week. Bonus for this one, though, is we at least got an Easter egg. Finally got an Easter egg, or a notable one at least.
Well, one that you picked up on, right?
Well, so the way I see it, and I'll start with this. Every episode had an Easter egg, aside from, let me see if I remember this correctly, episode 5, or at least an ending Easter egg, like right in the credits or right at the end of everything.
Oh, like a mid-credit scene. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And it wasn't so much of a scene until now. Episode 7 was the first actual scene. Anything before that, it was like hints of, like, you had the television, which came in episode 1 at the end. That came back in like episode 4, episode 3. At the end of episode 2, you had the whole color thing, and the way they were still like watching the television, but we didn't know where that was going or what that was. Yeah. So those I would consider Easter eggs, but this is the first time we got the credits are rolling. Hey, all right, like if we're in a movie theater, it's time to walk out.
Yeah.
It's time to walk out. You're on your feet, you're walking out, and all of a sudden you hear tap, 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 feet walking. You're like, wait, hold on, wait. oh wait, we gotta go sit back. So we're missing something. Like
Right.
this was that first moment. And if I'm being honest, this was the first episode where I was ready to just exit the moment the credits started rolling. And
I did.
didn't, luckily.
I did. I didn't even know that there was a mid credit.
So you missed the Easter.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I totally did. Because, you know, like I don't think I've even watched any of the other credits because you know why? Because they're 7 minutes long.
Yes, they are.
And
they talk about every single language that it is in.
Yeah, a 7-minute long credit scene for a 23-minute long show. So, you know, like
I'm curious to know how much each episode costs now, but
that's I know, show. Right? Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I didn't catch this mid credit scene. Can you recap us on what that was about? Or do you want to do that at the end?
Yeah, we have to talk about that Easter egg at the end of everything.
That sounds good.
I know you saw it, but still just to keep things in tow with how it played out.
For sure. So let's get into season. I keep saying season, episode 7. So
season 7. That's how far it's going.
Yeah. It is kind of like their own little seasons because they take the sort of motifs of different styles of shows. So this episode was much like The Office and Modern Family. Yeah. And that was kind of reference, especially I mean the intro was like straight out of The Office with like even the jingle, the song was exactly like The Office.
So for me, it was just like The Office, but the tone of it reminded me of the show United States of Tara. Because they changed the octave of it. Yeah, right. I want to say that was on FX, but I later watched it on either Netflix or Hulu or one of those platforms. But so I didn't like it. Made me think to myself, we're very familiar with the mainstream, the Fox, the ABC shows, the NBC. We're familiar with all of the local, so to speak, or syndicated. Let's call them that, the syndicated. But the cable shows that we overlooked, like the United States of Tara and those type of shows, they were in that same classification. Weeds, even Entourage, like they fall into those same categories that Malcolm in the Middle and all of that fell into. And I'm wondering at what point will this show start kind of hinting also towards the cable shows, because that was a major swing. And I feel like that should have happened around the 90s. But that's just a thought I had in regards to them following the timeline of popular television.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do some sort of homage to other cable shows. I think they're trying to stick to like network TV.
Things they own.
Yeah, well, things they own for sure. Disney does own quite a lot of that stuff, so they can do it for free.
Right.
But you know, like if I were to speculate at the last episode of this season, I think that you might see it more like an HBO homage, where it's more cinematic. You might even have like a little bit more drama in it, you know, like, and so you know, maybe that might be a slight nod towards like this new wave of TV where it's like not necessarily on cable anymore, but it's on these apps, and you know, you expect HBO to give you like a cinematic experience with every episode of, you know, whatever show you're watching. So
and that does make sense.
Yeah, so maybe that'll be the next sort of iteration. Even if they don't do that, I think it's kind of cool. I like the mockumentary style of this episode. So we kind of like Wanda, it's, you know, taking from the view of Wanda, and it's the night after the Halloween night where she basically expanded the hex, and she's fallen into kind of a depression, and she's in a slump, and she's not really feeling it, and she's like, the world is meaningless, and you know, like oh man, you know, like I think it's a little bit of a nod at the quarantine life too, you know, because
I thought it was very current.
Yeah, she talks a little bit about quarantining herself for the day, and you know, like just kind of the ups and downs you go through when you're stuck at home, and yeah, you know, sometimes you don't feel like you're in total control, and so that's something that she kind of talks about as well, is that she doesn't really understand how she's doing what she's doing, which is an interesting, I think that's kind of interesting, because it's like, well, that it seems true, but then also not true. Like it seems like, well, whatever is being harnessed, Wanda is being harnessed by herself or by something else in order to create this illusion, or at least create the barrier. Because perhaps, and we find out later, there's somebody else creating the illusion. So,
or some of the illusions that at least Wanda encounters.
right.
And to Wanda's day of rest, I like that she called it that. Like, oh, mommy needs a day of rest, and it was like, what do you got?
Yeah,
I need a day. Like I caught that, and I thought that.
And
was
it's the seventh, and it's the seventh episode on the seventh day. Yeah,
it was a lot in that very opening scene that let me know, oh, we're about to go. Hey, like this entire thing's about to get crazy in true form. Man, guys, wait till we explain how it ended. So, what I took from all of that, and then just the way it all played out, you really had. She goes through. She's telling the boys, "Hey, boys, mom wants to date herself. They're wondering where dad's at. Why is this changing? Why is that changing?" But then you go straight to Sword, and you see just the way that's going, and it's not the Sword members we want to see. It's the Sword members that we kind of don't want to be there.
Yeah, the Hayfield guy,
correct, yeah.
So like the head of Sword is basically still survived. He didn't get sucked into the hex, even though most of his people did. And so he's still on the perimeter of the hex, and you know they're doing their thing. But I wanted to circle back to the kids and her and Wanda, sort of like she alludes to the fact that she doesn't really care where Vision is, and she doesn't really like. She just figures Vision doesn't want to see her anymore, which I thought was interesting because it's like, oh, okay, so is she depressed because she thinks like Vision found out what was going on and now he doesn't want anything to do with her? Like, is that why she's feeling so upset about things?
Wow.
You know, and then it's like that sort of like whole sitcom trope of the miscommunication. Like one person thinks that the other person's angry, but they just, if they had a conversation for 5 seconds, everything would be fine. Yep. You know, and like, and it even kind of alludes to that a little bit with Vision just trying to get to Wanda during the episode. And it's like, all they need to do is talk for a few seconds and everything will be okay. But that doesn't happen. So,
right. And so I think the main part of her saying that, with you going back to her bringing that up, I think the main trope, like the exact point of why she even brings that up, is to explain to us, the audience, hey, you won't see Wanda and Vision together for a moment.
Yeah.
Like this isn't going to be what you've been seeing. This isn't going to be the WandaVision show. This is going to be the WandaVision show.
Yeah. They're going to have to be a little bit separate. And, you know, maybe perhaps that's also by design, because it seems like the best opportunity for what happens in this episode happens only because Vision isn't around. It would seem to me that Vision wouldn't have allowed what happened to happen in this episode. So
correct. But at the same time, she wouldn't have allowed him to learn and do what he was able to do as well. So, and that's my point, is they had, let's call it what it is. There were different story arcs that needed to be played out, and the characters couldn't be in the same frame.
Yeah, of course. And there needs to be a little bit of more depth to everything. So Vision needs to go on his sort of like quest. And, you know, so he wakes up still in the hex, and he's like, he's got all of his memories back. He's not like, which is interesting because you think that he'd be reabsorbed and then he'll lose his memories of what just happened to him. But apparently not.
Well, he has all of his memories of the hex. He still doesn't have it. He yet doesn't have his memories, or actually, I don't think he ever will. I don't. Of the past.
No, I don't think he'll have any memories of the Vision that existed pre-Infinity War.
Right. Although, and so I want to also note that when Vision wakes up is when we finally go full screen.
Yes, interestingly enough,
that's when we finally went full screen, and I thought that was telling, because when I really thought back, the screen continued to evolve as Vision continued to evolve. So the perception that we're being given, I'm starting to think, has a little bit to do with Vision's programs coming back online, or his I guess we'll call them programs. His sensors or his programs, his being, his essence being whole again, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think there's something to that too, because you have Sword and this Haywood guy who's the head of Sword. We find out that he's been keeping tabs on Vision while he's in the hex. Right. And his whole mission, because the reason Sword took Vision in the first place was to rebuild him as a weapon.
Right. And that's exactly what I was going to say in regards to Vision and them. Of course, they want Vision back, not just because he's a weapon, but they already have so much information. Even if they can't use him as a weapon, he is very valuable because they get to research the vessel. Period.
Yes. Well, and I do believe that they probably do want to reanimate him, but maybe
For sure.
perhaps they were unable to, and they've figured out that Wanda could reanimate him, and so maybe they allowed Wanda to take Vision into the Hex
Right.
to see if like maybe it would bring him back to life. And that's why Haywood, when Vision's trying to leave the Hex, he's like so fascinated by it because you know, like he didn't think that he would be able to even make it outside the Hex at all.
Let's no one try or even find the exit, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that he kind of still like exists a little bit out of the Hex perhaps shows that he is being rebuilt on some sort of level inside the Hex, you know, like and so maybe that's part of it. I don't know for sure, but it would seem to me that perhaps there was an alliance that was made between Sword and somebody in order to, one, get Wanda to create this illusion, and two, get Vision to be reanimated. And perhaps, you know, one entity wants Wanda to produce children, and the other entity wants Vision to be reborn into reality.
That makes perfect sense to what I've been thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see, and for those who are trying to follow along with us, I'm kind of referencing the perhaps Sword is in cahoots with whatever is causing this sort of reality to be taking place right now.
And so so here's the other thing about that. Back to Vision. Vision wakes up and then he finds Darcy immediately. What I thought was interesting was how fast Darcy was able, once, you know, he tried to convince her of everything and he brought her back to reality, so to speak, you know, drop the veil on her, how fast she was able to, oh, this is where I am.
Yeah.
It's like she didn't even question, am I in the Hex? It's like the moment oh, wait, never mind. I understand why that didn't happen. Because just like with Norman, his name was Norm, right? Norm?
I don't know. Who are you talking about?
The other guy in the office that he dropped the veil on.
Yeah. I don't remember his name.
Okay. But so he also remembered everything that was going on. That was what I just realized is Darcy, they are inside. They are just not in control.
Yeah. And I also think that Darcy knew that she was going into the Hex prior. And perhaps a lot of those town folk probably didn't understand what was happening to them before. They probably didn't see the Hex that was created. So like that's why a lot of them, when they get snapped out, they're like, what the heck is going on? Whereas Darcy like knew that before that she was going into the Hex. So she's like, oh, okay. You know, thankfully I'm out of that, you know? So yeah, maybe that's part of it, but Vision and Darcy end up kind of sort of teaming up a little bit awkwardly.
A little awkwardly?
Yeah, and a lot awkwardly for sure. And you know, they have their own like little sort of buddy segue, and where they're trying to escape the circus in one of the trucks, and one of the strong men is one of the sword people. Then it's just, and so they have this heart to heart about which I think was really important. They have this heart to heart about how Vision was created and what happened to him before. And Darcy kind of says like, and Vision's kind of was like, well, then what am I? And I like that Darcy responds like, well, for whatever this all is, you and Wanda have something that's real. There is something there that is real. This isn't, that isn't just an illusion as well. Like, you guys actually do have love for each other. So, I thought that was kind of a nice nod to the fact that, like, for whatever Wanda's faults are, like, she's grieving with the loss of somebody that she truly loves and cares about. And wouldn't you create a false reality if you could, to be with the person that you loved? I mean, you can't blame her,
Not at all.
You can't blame her for that.
So that's why none of us should be superheroes, because we would definitely end up using that power for our own benefit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Definitely that. And so I think Vision kind of understands that too, where it's like, I think he gets it. I think he's upset that he was brought back because his prime directive was to never be brought back. And I think that's but
he doesn't know that yet.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't know that. But yeah, so I think he's kind of seeing that Wanda is, like did all of this so that he could be around. And I get the feeling that we're going to get a Vision sacrifice again, which I really don't necessarily want to see. And I'm like, are we going to kill this guy for a third time? Just so like, like at that point, Wanda does need to just go crazy and put everything under her control.
I think we are going to see another Vision death. I wouldn't say sacrifice, but we will also see a Vision rebirth. Not in this season, though. I don't think we'll see either of those things in this season. I think we have a lot of other things to dig through before we get to a point in which Vision has to be either again rebirthed or destroyed. Because at some point, Vision's going to get upset. And when Vision gets upset, he's just a weapon at that point.
Yeah, but can they drag this out another season? I don't know.
For sure.
I mean, but what I mean by is like, if there is no Vision death, how does this season end in a way that can like have any sort of impact? Because I see it as like, if Vision doesn't kill himself or have like sacrifice himself, or there isn't another sort of thing, then it's like, they have to get out of the hex then, right? And if they're out of the hex, then what is the story?
Theory. So much is out of the hex not only becomes it doesn't become non-existent per se, but it begins to exist within Vision. That will keep him alive. Wanda will be in a different situation that she'll have to be dealing with at that point. And I believe her powers will be harnessed to do things that she is not in control of beyond the hex. I'm trying to be a little vague here until we get to the end.
Yeah. So possibly Wanda could be under some sort of capture.
Right. And now Vision has to save
her. Vision has to save her. I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that for sure. I think they can get to that for sure.
And so go ahead.
It's funny is that in this episode there's not a whole lot that happens.
No,
it's actually surprising how little happens in this episode. So
it's literally like 5 bullet points if we wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, so like we could talk about the fact that Darcy and Vision get caught up in that traffic jam.
That's nice.
Because
that was not Wanda.
No, and we find out that later, but Vision thought it was Wanda, like not wanting to see him, and so like keeping him in the perimeters of the town. But we find out that Wanda actually hasn't been behind this the whole time.
No, not at all.
But before we get to who was behind it the whole time, I do want to mention the commercial. And the commercial I thought was interesting. Nexus.
Isn't that a real commercial?
Well, I mean, it was basically like almost exactly like every pharmaceutical commercial you see.
I promise, I paused it and rewound it because I was like, I don't see Stark or Stark Industries. I don't see any Hydra. This is a real commercial. Right.
But it's and I didn't get this from just my own knowledge. I've definitely done some diving into the YouTube community and speculation. Oh yeah, like I need to know what the nerds are saying about this. But a lot of people are under the impression that Nexus is a reference to particularly like Nexus characters in the MCU. So their Nexus characters are characters like Wanda who can cross the multiverse and sort of are a bridge between the multiverses. And so there are a handful of characters in the MCU that are considered Nexus characters because they can alter reality and have bridges to
mostly sorcerers, right?
Multiverses. Yeah, sorcerers. I think, like Franklin Richards.
Right.
Like Mind I think even Professor X to some point probably has some sort of bridge into the multiverse, maybe through Cerebro or something like that.
I was thinking maybe through Cerebro.
Yeah.
Isn't it really weird how he's not as powerful as we thought he was as kids?
Which is crazy because he actually is incredibly powerful. It's just that like he could, with Cerebro, he could destroy everybody on the planet easily without even having to like work hard at it. So if that's just an amplification of his actual power, then he's got some pretty crazy power for sure.
That's true.
But another telepath that we're finding out is one of Wanda's sons is a
Yes.
telepath. That would be the character called Wiccan in the comics.
Right.
And it seems as though he is having an issue with the growth of the hex and the new amount of minds that are inside the hex. And he's starting to go a little bit, crazy because he's hearing more voices now. And part of me thought, how cool would it be to have Xavier come into the hex to bring Wiccan to the Professor X school of gifted children? He becomes an Avenger. Yeah.
He becomes an Avenger later, but didn't he do a stint with the X-Men?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Or maybe it was, I don't know. I could be wrong. No,
possibly.
I don't think I am, though.
But I think that would be a wonderful time. I want to say
it's after Wanda is dead, after Wanda dies.
Yeah.
I want to say it's like that long down the line. It's not like, And it's part, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So I'm not going to speculate any further. I'm going to do my homework. Maybe episode 8 review, I'll talk about it a little more.
Right.
I'm not getting killed on the forums. What are you saying here?
Yeah, right. Yeah, don't kill us. We're just speculating here. We're not really into the comics all that much, but I think it is interesting, and I think it would be a really cool intro for the mutants. And there's even like so like that Nexus commercial kind of reminded me of like. And I think it is a direct reference to the type of characters that have the power to reach into other universes. And so I think
I wish I can remember the verbiage of the infomercial itself.
So there
were some context clues in there.
One of the lines is, now you can choose whichever reality you want to be in. I think that was one of the lines. Yeah.
Right. And it starts going through the depression and anxiety and then happiness. And it was something else. It was like, wait, what?
Yeah. It was a very tongue in cheek. It was something. Yeah. Or more. Yeah. It could lead to more depression. Yeah,
right.
It was something like
could lead to more depression. Like, excuse me, are we talking? And that was the moment where I was like, are the commercials talking to Wanda?
Oh yeah. All of the commercials have like weird tongue-in-cheek references to what's going on inside the hex for sure.
As they should.
Yeah.
And so as we're going through, and I don't remember this was before or after the commercial, but so as Wanda's still going through everything and trying to figure out what to do with the boys, how they're going to get through their day, in comes her new bestest friend ever in the world, Agnes.
And she knew exactly that she was coming in right on cue.
Right on cue. She knew when she was coming. She knew she was coming to save the day, and she was ready for her.
Yeah.
And as we noted maybe like 2 episodes ago, and Vision began to notice, all right, listen here, chick, you are way too timely in this situation. There's only 2 types of people in this situation that are timely as far as comic books are concerned. Villains and heroes. Which are you?
Right.
So from there, what I really liked and I thought was very interesting, I liked it, but it was weird, was Agnes's interaction with the boys when they were at her house. And Billy's just talking about Wiccan, is talking about how much, he likes being at her house.
Yeah, because it's quiet.
Because it's quiet. And he looks at her like, you're quiet, Agatha. You're quiet, Agnes. On the inside.
On the inside.
And I'm like, and when he says, you're quiet, Agnes, on the inside, I promise it's in my notes. Why is Agnes quiet on the inside specifically?
Also, that's a low-key dig, too.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Like
low-key dig on her. You're dead inside.
You're dead inside. Yeah, exactly. You are empty.
Yeah.
But I think it was also, to me, it said immediately, like, okay, I think we're getting closer to finding out if she has anything to do with it and or where she plays a role in this.
Yeah.
Simply because what that told me wasn't that she is quiet inside. What that told me was he is not able to read her mind.
Yeah, she's actively blocking a telepath.
Right.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, not aware. At that moment, we're not aware yet. And then the coolest thing to me was when Captain Major Rambo and Agent Wu get their vehicular. That vehicle looked like, yes, I'm going to keep saying it that way. That vehicle looked like they were prepared for war, man.
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed because I was assuming the Connect was going to be somebody more
I thought it would be
important.
Ant-Man. No, Hank Pym, we said, right? Hank
Pym. It like honestly, and you know what? Hank Pym could have gotten into the Hex.
I believe so.
He could have gotten in. Like we talked about how the way she was describing the needs of the vehicle, it's the van with the freaking quantum tunneler in it. You know,
make it a little bit smaller. You can even dodge the atoms.
Yes, you could literally go in between the illusion and then pop up in the Hex, and you'd be fine. You know, like
right. But here's the thing, and this is why I love the vehicle. I love the design of the vehicle. What I thought was interesting about the vehicle was it was a single man vehicle. I don't remember that part being part of specs.
Yeah, it was a single person vehicle. Yeah.
And that was interesting because this is supposed to be not just a recon, but possibly a rescue mission.
Yeah.
Where you're going to put the people you're rescuing.
Yeah. How is anybody going to get through?
I didn't really understand, but the specs were the specs.
I think maybe I think the plan was to get to bring the Hex down while inside, perhaps, so maybe they wouldn't need the exit vehicle. Yeah, perhaps.
Well, at that point, no. At that point, Rambo and Wu have figured out what Hayward or whatever his name, the Haywire, let's call him that. But what the bad guy, they've already figured out what he wants, and that he wants to get Vision back and use him as a weapon. So at that point, they're just trying to get in and warn Wanda, like, hey, nobody got off on the wrong foot, but you need to stop him.
Yeah.
And I thought that part, when with the vehicle and everything, I thought that part was the most interesting because once all of that played out, it gave us more reason for her to have the vehicle. But then when the vehicle didn't get through, it gave us more reason to do what you got to do. Because once we found out what the Hex was doing to Monica, even as, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I know as a spectator, as a viewer, as the part of the audience, I'm sitting here like, don't do it. Don't wait. When she gets what happens if she goes through? I mean, her DNA is changing. What is it changing to? And I alluded last time, does she get powers? Yeah, well, apparently she does. I don't know where they're going to take this, to be honest, because what it kind of reminded me of is like the wall of the Hex is like a bridge into the multiverse, because you saw when Monica was running through it, all of the different possibilities of who she was. Yes, that was the first thing I saw. And so maybe that's what's happening with the Hex, is that it's like some sort of portal into the multiverse where you basically go in and then you pop out randomized. And maybe that's why Pietro was the Quicksilver from the X-Men movies and not the Avengers movie. They just able to pull him from a different realm, which you speculated on when you came back. Yeah, I think it's still possible. Now we do know some new information about Pietro towards the end, but I still think it's possible that the Hex is somehow acting as like some sort of extractor from the multiverse that just brings in possibilities. And so maybe what's happening right now with Vision too is that he's getting sort of morphed into a multiverse version of Vision, and perhaps a Vision from a different universe is sort of embodying this Vision now. This Vision. And that's why he's alive inside of the Hex. Right. Well, and so Monica and her newfound abilities, what do you think her abilities are, and what would you say her name is as a superhero? What would you name her as I know what her name is, but no, but don't give me that name. Give me what you think. Well, I don't know, because I wouldn't know. Because already now. Yeah, the only thing that you can think of, like, so when she gets into the Hex, she can see energy, electricity. She can see electricity. So perhaps I would say more energy current, but yeah, I mean, but it was electrical wires that she was looking at, so I don't know if that she because I didn't see any other energy currents coming from anything else. You didn't see the Easter egg. Go ahead. What was the Easter egg? We're not there yet. Oh, okay, gotcha. But yeah, so I mean, like, I don't know what her power is. Maybe she has electrical
abilities. I mean, like I know her name in the comics is Photon. Yeah. Right. But I haven't looked into her powers through the comics, so I would assume it has something to do with light and energy.
Right. So, like you said, she was able to see the electricity. What I noticed, it wasn't just the electricity. She was able to see all of the waves in the air across the spectrum. And that's what I feel like her name should be, is Spectrum. Because I think she can see the entire spectrum, and that includes electricity.
And energy. Yeah.
Right. Light and energy around. So that would be vibration, sound, everything, not just the electricity itself.
Right. Electromagnetism, ultraviolet lights. Yeah. Yeah.
You clap too loud, she sees the sound wave off of that.
Right. Which is kind of just that's a trippy power to have.
It's a really interesting power.
I mean, like it would mean like it would be kind of maddening if you think about it. Be like, I think that she can turn it off because you kind of see her turn it off, like because she like blinks really hard and then like she's, I guess, seeing normally. So yeah, I don't think I'd want to be able to see like that all the time.
And not at all. And I was that part did bother me. Like, all right, she got control of her powers way too fast. Like, knock it off.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I think it has to be speed through. I mean, like, I really hope that she doesn't have to play some sort of adversarial figure.
I think she's gonna lose control and find out she can do something we don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I just think that's kind of like, I don't know. It's a little bit shoehorned in. I don't necessarily. I mean, like, she didn't necessarily have to have superpowers. You know, like she could have just been a strong woman that was able to get through the hex because she had determination. You know what I mean?
Like, do some tough stuff and like, never mind. No, that would have been playing it too close to the. I
guess.
Oh, you know, she's just from the inner city, so that makes her tougher than everybody.
Right. Yeah, I guess. I guess.
But I agree. Her being a human would have been really cool. But
yeah, I think it would have been a lot better. Like, but I understand. Like, they need to start, you know, like building the lore and sort of like bringing in more characters. So I get why they do it for sure.
And let's just be honest, they own all of these properties. They might want to start using them.
They're going to have to, you're going to have to use them. I mean, like, it's so surprising to me that we haven't actually, like, aside from Quicksilver, we haven't had any more characters come in. Like, there's no reason for it not to. If Doctor Strange doesn't show up at the last scene of the finale, then I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, the Wanda, if we're just following Wanda alone from the moment she gets her powers, or if we even go to the other lore of Wanda and Pietro as Magneto's children, like, there's so much you can do with the Scarlet Witch storyline that I get why they chose her. Because in my opinion, I'm looking at it from the stance of they didn't choose Vision, which is why we're gonna start getting a little bit of two storylines, in my opinion. Wanda, there's so much to her. Vision, there's kind of no Vision without the Avengers or Wanda.
Yeah. You know? And he doesn't necessarily even seem to care that he's alive at all. So it's
because he's never lived.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess he doesn't have that sort of like
paintballing. He knows.
Yeah, that's sort of a human will to survive, I guess, is within him. But okay, so I guess we only have to talk about, and now that Monica is in the hex, she tries to confront Wanda. And they have kind of like a little standoff where Wanda kind of tries to throw her and Monica does a superhero landing.
That was interesting.
And some blue energy kind of shoots off of her. So we might see that she can control energy. I don't know. Like,
I think that goes without saying, seeing as how she can see it. And that's what I meant when I say I think we're going to find out later she can do more than she's aware of because she just got her powers. Specifically from that, the way Wanda tried to crush her.
Yeah.
I don't think Wanda was being light. Wanda wasn't just trying to scare her. Wanda tried to scare her when she threw her out of the hex.
Yeah.
Wanda was trying to hurt her, and she knew Wanda was trying to hurt her, but her power saved her. And I think that's what made Wanda a little more enraged, but at the same time confused.
Yeah.
She's aware she can kill without trying.
I don't want the convenient hero coming in and breaking apart this sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I would really be upset if like her power is that, she can break the hex.
Oh, that would
I think that's so weak, man. I don't
that
want
would
to see that. I want to see like the realness of Wanda's like deciding to either break the hex herself or to keep it going because she just can't deal. Like that's
right.
much more interesting to me. I don't want to have Monica come in. She can be like, you know, like a just like an intro to a new character if they want to spin her off on something, but like don't have her be the hero of this story.
I
Like
don't
I
think
just
they will.
yeah. Yeah, I
But
just
well,
think that it's so cheap to be like, oh, now that she has superpowers, she might be able to, you know, like stop the hex from being like you're kidding me, right? Like
look,
she just
and
got
you
her
didn't see the
she
Easter egg
just
you
got her
said.
she just got her powers like, you know, 2 hours ago.
You see my face, right?
Yeah.
You didn't see the Easter egg.
I don't know. You got to tell me what Easter egg you're talking about.
All right, so we're at it now. So
Okay.
when Monica and Wanda are having their standoff, her good friend Agnes comes. She sees her through the window. She sees the standoff through the window.
Yeah.
Pokes her head out. She comes out and she wraps her arms around Wanda and says to Monica that you don't belong here.
Yeah.
And you need to leave.
Right.
And I thought I was tripping at first, but it was almost as if Wanda froze when Agnes put her hand on her. It was like she couldn't respond.
Mm.
And she could only respond the way she was, I wouldn't say instructed to, but the way she was allowed to at that point. And so from there, we go, Agnes takes Wanda into the house, and Wanda immediately, she looks at the rabbit, and she looks and she sees a cicada bug on the curtain, which I thought was really weird. Like, where did the cicada come from? And then I also had to take a step back at myself, like, why do I know what a cicada is?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of them in California.
And they're also like a part of every either witches or
demons or
yeah. It's a part of everything when it comes to demon lore.
Yeah.
So she sees that and she immediately asks Agnes, hey, where's the boys? And they're in the basement playing.
Yeah.
The basement? My boys don't play in no basement, girl. That's how her face really looked like that. Like, you don't have my kids in no basement.
Right.
So she heads on down there to discover that Agnes's house is a labyrinth.
Yeah. She basically has like an old medieval fortress underneath her house. You know, like a witch's coven underneath her house.
Which is exactly what we find out it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because Miss Wanda isn't the only magical girl in Eastview under the hex. Oh no, you don't have Agnes, you have Agatha Harkness. That's right, all of you Marvel comic fans, you know who we're talking about. Nemesis number freaking 1. How did she come out? I don't know. We've been watching her the whole time. If you watch the series, you were thinking to yourself, something ain't right about Agnes.
Yeah.
The whole time we've been saying it since episode 1. Something's not right about Agnes. And now we can stop calling her Agnes because her name is Agatha.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you get the whole the whole awesome little theme song, Agatha all along.
Agatha, that was good. I like that.
Yeah.
That's also where we find out Pietro came from.
Yes.
As Wanda said, that wasn't her. It wasn't.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I don't know if like Agatha was creating that illusion or if Agatha pulled that Pietro from a multiverse.
I think Agatha is more aware of the multiverse than we are.
I think so too.
And what's going on with the whole situation. I think that outside entity that we've been alluding to the entire time and trying to figure out if there was one is Agatha. But I am wondering, who does Agatha work with?
Oh, you know who. We all know who's going to be coming in this, and this actually would totally segue into Doctor Strange. Mephisto's.
Oh, Mephisto. Oh yeah, right. We forgot. I forgot. Yeah. Totally forgot. We've been talking about this for a whole 2 episodes.
I mean, the foreshadowing is crazy. So Agatha's bunny is called Senior Scratchy, which Scratch is an old name for the devil.
And wait, really quick. Let's pause there. What is Agatha's son's name? Do you know? Do you remember?
Did she even say that she had a son?
She doesn't have to. I just happen to know Agatha Harkness has a son named Nicholas Scratch.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. There you go. I still think that Mephisto is the bunny. I really do. I think Mephisto
It's highly
is the
probable.
bunny. Yeah.
It's highly probable.
I think that's why she when she came down to confront Wanda, she was petting the freaking rabbit. Like I'm really convinced that Mephisto is like inside that bunny, and that she needs the children in order to bring his soul into a human body.
Oh gosh, that explains why he wasn't eating anything. He was eating the. Ooh, so he ate the boys.
Yeah,
and that's why the cicada's there. As we said, the lure of the demons. We always know that that's there, and Mephisto will be considered a demon.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he is he is the demon because he is the ruler of Earth and other lures called Asia and all other kind of crap. Yeah. But he would be the firstborn of Satan.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And this honestly would bring Doctor Strange in. Like the fact that Doctor Strange doesn't know what's going on and hasn't shown up yet is a failure to who he is.
No, it's not, because it's Doctor Strange. He knows what's going on, but he only intervenes when it's his time to be there. He'll let the whole world go to ruins until it's like, oh, this is my time. Boop. Come on, bro. You could have did that the whole 10 years ago.
Yeah. Don't tell Tony about your plan until it's like the second that it's supposed to happen, and he's wait, do it, Tony.
But wait, let's be real. Let's be totally honest.
Yeah,
that was the perfect way to play Tony.
He had to, because if he had said anything, it could have changed the course of time. So I get
Tony.
it.
Tony's not gonna let somebody else be right.
Yeah, and you have to let things play out the way they can, because if you do anything, even the slightest change will mess with the course of time and all that stuff. So I get it. But I definitely see, so when you get into Agatha's sort of lair, you see that she's got like that book, that glowing book. There's a name for it. There's a name
for it. Grimoire. It's a specific name in Marvel.
It's a Marvel. It's called like the Dark something. And it's supposed to be like a sort of like a magic of the multiverses and how to harness that sort of energy and stuff. So, I think
so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I think we're going to start to see like Agatha. And so we might even see the next episode, show us how Agatha and Wanda came into this agreement, because I still think that this was an agreement. I think that she went to Agatha and said, help me make this world and I'll give you whatever you want. And Agatha's like, well, give me the children that you create, and all the missing kids. Did you pick that up on the milk carton?
Yes.
When she was having cereal, there was a missing kid thing, and everybody keeps talking about where the missing kids are. So maybe Agatha has been trying to bring about Mephisto through all of these different kids, and then she realized it's only the kid of Scarlet Witch that'll do.
Yeah. And I'm figuring he has to be eating the children, because I remember also there was a bunny earlier in the season and it was much smaller.
Yeah, I can't remember if Senior Scratchy has grown, but
trust me, he's grown.
He's growing. Okay.
Oh, he's growing. He went from looking like a bunny to a hare.
Right. So I mean, like I think I could definitely see where you bring in the Mephisto sort of thing, and obviously, like something has to do with the kids.
1000%.
It's all. I mean, like
always about the kids.
We've heard it before. I actually heard a good theory as well that it could have been that Mephisto could be Dottie, and I think that that's kind of a good one too. Dottie was the woman that's like a part of the social clique in the town, and she was like she was the one they all went to. Yeah, they all went to her house, and like and that's when Agatha says like, this is the woman that runs like the town. She knows all of the stuff. Like it could be that Dottie is Mephisto,
and she has disappeared for like 4 episodes, hasn't she?
Yeah, and she's
that one commercial.
Yeah, and then she's the one that ran the talent show for the children, right?
Right, for the children.
For the children, yeah.
Last time, that was the second to last time we saw the children. And I'm sure she organized all the Halloween events.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's possible. I think it's either the bunny or maybe Dottie, or maybe we haven't seen him yet. A lot of other people think that it might be the mailman, because the mailman keeps popping up. Did you notice that when
yes, when they have the standoff?
Yeah,
every
Wanda
time
and
there's
Monica.
something going on, he literally
right there.
And he just stops and stands and watches.
Yep.
And then he leaves.
Yeah. Which is unlike all the other characters, because all the other characters are on like an autopilot. He shouldn't
that was
stand
true
there.
until that was actually true until their standoff.
Oh,
Their
okay.
standoff was the first time I noticed he wasn't the only person to stop. The lady at the trunk stopped. The people across the street stopped. And there was someone else in the direction that he was headed, and they stopped as well. Until Agnes was walking her back, and then everybody kind of resumed. And even Monica noticed that because she kind of looked around like, did everybody just
stand still? Yeah.
Which takes me to our Easter egg.
Yes.
So another reason I would like to call Monica Spectrum is because in the Easter egg scene, she is now walking around looking for Wanda, because Wanda has disappeared with Agnes into the house, but there's no more motion. It's almost like the house, the town is a ghost town. Like there's no motion going on outside around.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. Because both of them are now preoccupied.
Correct.
Can't keep it going. Yeah.
Correct. So while she's peeking through the windows and stuff, and I guess she feels the energy as well, because she's kind of like trying to figure out how can she get in, because she feels something isn't right. And she opens the doors, the outside doors that lead down to the basement. And from there, we see more roots, because as we saw in the Agatha's labyrinth, there were roots that were basically holding the walls up.
Yeah.
And there were roots along the walls, and she was able to see the purple energy flowing through them.
Okay.
And that's why I was like, it has to be more than just electricity. But she did that. Guess who pops up on her? Pietro.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
Yep. And that's where we cut. That's where it ended.
Yeah, I might have to have a standoff with Monica and Pietro, I guess, then, right?
That's not a good standoff for her. That's not the way I want to find out what my powers are.
No. Yeah,
that is not a nice guy to fight.
Pietro's he's a problem, and especially the X-Men version, because the X-Men version is actually a lot faster than the Avengers version ever was. So, like, the X-Men version of Quicksilver is crazy fast. I mean, nowhere near the Flash, but very fast.
It's fast, right?
Yeah.
Anybody that can move bullets with their fingertips,
Yeah, I mean, when then you get into like the silly levels, which is like the Flash can move faster between atoms than light can.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Outrun light, he can make the earth spin backwards. Like,
right.
But that's not every Flash. That's just the original Flash.
Yes, Barry Allen. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, then basically the episode is over, and we have to wait until next week. Keelan, what do you got? What do you think is going to happen? Like, if you could say next episode, if there's going to be a cameo, who is it going to be? Because there's got to be a cameo. There's got to be a cameo in the next 2 episodes. Because, and I say this because Paul Bettany did an interview where he said he got to work with somebody he's always wanted to work with. And that it's like it's going to be a big cameo. So,
you think The Rock's going to pop up as a character or something?
The Rock.
Hey guys, check out my new show.
Yeah, exactly. Check out Ballers on Showtime or HBO. I don't remember what that was on.
I don't want to speculate, but my theory, what I think is going to happen next. I'm not sure about cameos. I'm gonna be honest. I do not know about cameos. I think Hayward or Hayward, whatever his name is, he is going to do something very dumb soon.
Yeah.
Wu and the new crew that are out there and trying to figure out what Monica's up to, they're going to be losing their mind for a minute. And I think Wu's going to enter. I think that's going to be one of our, but I think that's going to be one of our bigger moments than a cameo. If we were to get a cameo in the next 2 episodes, it would have to be episode 9. And it would be so short of a cameo that it would only leave the door open for what's going to happen in season 2.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be an Easter egg.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly kind of feel like there will be a big appearance. It's not going to be like the whole episode is going to have this character, but there's definitely going to be a big scene with a character. And I do believe it's either going to be Doctor Strange. I would actually like it if it was Patrick Stewart. I think that if we could get old Professor X in to take Wiccan, like if it's like the last scene where Vision like sends Wiccan and what's the other kid's name?
Tommy and Billy. Let's just go with
Tommy and Billy. Like say he wants to take them out of the hex, or he wants to send them away. Maybe sends them to the Professor X school for the gifted.
Right. What if we find out they don't exist outside the hex either?
Well, then we enter a House of M storyline where Wanda realizes her children aren't real, and then she decides to go crazy, which I am totally for.
Yeah, she told you were out. As soon as you said it, I remember. I was like, "Oh, wait, that's the original Superman story."
Yeah, that's the original story of the House of M. She finds out that her children never existed; they weren't real, and then she just goes crazy, and so like she rewrites all of reality.
Wow, actually, I think that could be what's gonna come.
I think it would be amazing if they did that. Yeah,
and the reason I think it's gonna go that way is back to Mr. Scratchy, or
Senior
whatever.
Scratchy.
Senior Scratchy, thank you. Either he was eating the boys, or they never existed.
Yeah.
And who helped give birth to them?
I mean, Wanda and Agatha.
There you go.
Yeah. But you know what, the way I think about it too is like I think that the boys might have to exist on some level because she killed Sparky to make them grow up.
You're right.
And if she was able to just make them grow up, then she would have done it without having to make an external reason for them to grow up. And I think that they need to grow up so that Mephisto can take over their bodies.
Yeah, it makes sense. Everything you said, and it's always twins. It's always twins with Mephisto. I think I've covered this already. I'm not gonna go into it.
I think we mentioned it. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, like
raise somebody to kill the Earth. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think it would be really cool if we get into the Mephisto storyline. I think it would actually be really cool if we get maybe they'll do this is explain to us how Agatha and Wanda like met each other, because I think that there's something. They know each other. Oh, they know each other for sure, and I think that there's more there of like maybe Wanda wanted Agatha to teach her how to harness this power to create reality in order for her to do this for Vision. But then again, like it's only been 2 years since the blip, so you know, like
I thought they said 3. No, I thought they said 5.
I don't know. It could have been 5. Maybe it was 5.
No, I think you're right. It was 2.
I think it's been relatively short. Yeah.
I think the event was 3, and then coming back, and then I think it has been 2 years since the blip, but 5 years since the beginning of it.
Since the snap. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I think I think it's just been so recent. Like I don't know how they would. Like they would have to show us like what happened to Wanda when she blipped back to reality. And I think a lot of that had to do with her trying to find Vision when she came back to reality, because see if he was brought back for some reason, and that's when she gets into the sword facility. Maybe she found Agnes, maybe Agnes helped her break into the sword facility, so we might get some of that for season 2 of like how this all was
putting it all together.
Yeah. How it was all built. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because there is a lot we need to understand about who is Agatha now.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. Who are you? Why? And it doesn't seem like she wants to hold Wanda captive in any way. So
no, really she doesn't seem interested. She's using Wanda for sure, just for the kids, but it doesn't seem like. And then this is where I think like there was a prior agreement where it was like, it seems like Agatha was like, I will help you create this world if you give me children. Or maybe the deal wasn't as specific as that. But then it could be that, because if you think about it, remember Wanda kept getting asked by Vision, why are there no kids around?
Right.
And so perhaps the deal was that Agatha got all the children and Wanda was able to create this reality,
Yeah, that actually makes sense. And it still makes sense simply because when we play the Mephisto angle, there has to be children involved. And then you're going to have the twins, which we have. We have the children. We have the twins. You're going to have the all-powerful parents of these children that exist.
Yeah.
And the children themselves are going to have to discover their powers. In other things, sometimes it's like 15, 16. In this situation, they're heroes, or they're just mutants. So
Yeah.
10 should suffice. 10, 11 should suffice.
Right. Well, and like everybody, so anybody who's, I don't know if your cells are being changed when you're in the hex or just when you cross through it.
I think it's just crossing through.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, so I don't know. I mean, like, there's a lot of different ways this could go. I want to see where it's going to kind of like tie in with the X-Men universe, because I think they're definitely trying to build that bridge between the MCU and the X-Men universe. So I'll be very interested in that. I really hope that they bring in, Professor X at some point. Like, it's safeguard the boys. Maybe it's just too dangerous out there for them to be with Wanda and Vision, and then they have to go and stay at Professor X's house or something.
Stay at the mansion.
Yeah.
I'm still interested. I get what you're saying, and I am looking forward to seeing if something like that happens with the boys specific, because I'm curious to know where that goes.
Yeah.
Are the boys still alive?
Are they real?
What are they? Are they real?
Yeah.
And what is the end game for them? Because first off, once we find out if they're real or not, we then know, are we worried about the fate of 2 people, 4 people,
right?
The entire world? What's really at stake here?
Right. Absolutely. Well, yeah, so that's just those are all of the speculations and ideas that we have for this episode and for the future episodes. Stay tuned. The episode 8 is premiering. I think they do it at Thursday at midnight, so you could watch it at midnight, or you could just be a normal person and watch it on Friday
in the daytime,
yeah, in the daytime, and just not have to stay up too late. But I think we're probably going to do another episode review maybe Saturday or Sunday, depending on what our schedule is like. But stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming out, so that way we can talk about episode 8. So that way next week we are ready to go for the finale. And hopefully we'll do that on either Saturday, and maybe even make a special out of it or something like that. So
for sure.
So thank you guys so much for listening. We very much appreciate it. Keelan, you got anything you want to add before we wrap up?
I am enjoying this WandaVision ride, man.
Yeah, me too. I'm pleasantly surprised. I really didn't know if I was going to like it. Same. I thought it might be kind of cheesy, but I really actually enjoy the surrealism, the sort of like bizarre, reality bending stuff. Like, if this is what Phase 4 of Marvel has in store, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I want them to get weird. Let's get weird. We've done the basic superhero stuff. Let's get weird now. I
think the best thing that can happen right now is they dive in and they pick up Craven.
Okay.
Craven would be so amazing to bring into play right now, just because who wouldn't like to see a guy who can literally turn into animals and talk to animals?
That would be pretty sweet.
Then you realize, oh crap, Craven's not even a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's not a bad guy.
Steward of wilderness.
Right.
But right. You know what? Actually, if people listening haven't seen and are interested in sort of surreal MCU style shows, watch Legion. Legion is an excellent show, and that show did not get enough love. Honestly, like, for what it was, like, it's crazy how good that show is, and how like weird and like mind meldy and stuff. Like, that's a really good show.
I think a lot of the Marvel shows in general, if I'm being honest, the issue that comes into play is, my opinion, the issue that comes into play is you have us, right? Or you have the fan base, so to speak. We're gonna see Legion and certain things pop up. We know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Shoot. If some people don't know, like Suicide Squad and The Losers and all of that were comic books. They just think these were really cool movies.
Right.
But for us who, we followed this stuff, when I saw the commercial for Legion, I was excited.
Man, me too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you had, I know we're going a little bit for a moment. Then you had the one, I can't remember the name of this show, but this was the one where they had the guy who screamed, not the Wanderers, the Outsiders.
Yeah, that one didn't last very long, right?
Not at all. I want to say I don't even think they finished their first season.
Yeah,
but that was on
not.
Right. But that and Shield was on at the exact same time, and Shield ended up carrying on, and then that turned into Agent Carter.
Oh, I think you're talking about the Runaways.
No, not the Runaways. The Runaways actually is still kind of running. It's like periodically they'll throw a new season out. It's weird. Like I'm still catching up on it because it's like, oh, it's over, and then it's like new season. Oh,
yeah,
new episodes.
Whatever happened to that movie, New Mutants? That came out, right?
New Mutants. That's what it was. A show.
That was the show. There was a movie though. There was a movie with Maisie Williams. There was something. It was called. It wasn't New Mutants. It was something else. But it was like in an insane asylum, and it was a movie. I forget. It got postponed for a really long time, and then they pushed it out anyways. I'll have to look that up. But yeah.
Send that one to me. I'm not aware of that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good mind-bending stuff out there. Honestly, definitely check out Legion if you haven't. Sure. Like it takes a few watches to understand what the heck is going on, but that's the point. It's like you're literally in the mind of a crazy person with multiple personalities and like all the power in the world. So yeah, it's very good. Because
he locks himself up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he locks himself up quite a lot, and I just love Farouk in that show. It's like so good. The what did they call him? Who's the Farouk is the bad guy. The
I gotta catch.
Oh, the Shadow King. The Shadow King.
Is that what they call him?
Yeah, the Shadow King.
Okay, I gotta catch up.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Stay tuned for next weekend or this weekend coming up when we do episode 8 of WandaVision. Next week we'll be in for the finale. If you want to check out Keelan's podcast, it is on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. If Numbers Could Talk, check that out, please. I also have a podcast, Exophalum, that's on Monday and Friday night at 8 p.m. Please check that out as well if you feel inclined. Other than that, if you don't, just watch this show because we both appreciate it. And, we very much appreciate you guys. And we hope to entertain you for many, many shows to come. So thank you very much, you guys, and have a wonderful night. Until next time. See ya.
Later, guys.